So the essentially, right, when you approaching the creation of thought form servitors, you need to have a responsible mindset because of what you are creating. And what you're going to realize is, and what I want you to understand is, creating a servitor is a very natural process. It's not anything abnormal to you. It's a natural part of your creative energy. So we do it intentionally and unintentionally all the time. So what I'm doing is I'm going to inform you on how this process works, right? So that you can understand what you are creating with your own mental energy, with your own focus. So mindset is important. Mindset is like creating the setting of the story. So however your mindset is determines if you're creating a positive or a negative servitor. And because most of us are often in a negative mind state, and we find ourselves have to perform these transformative mental alchemy processes so that we can have more positive mindsets, we realize is a lot of the things that we are fighting through comes from the thoughts that we use to create them in itself from our past thought patterns. Because you learn that the all is mental, everything comes from your own thoughts. So everything is originating with you. All you're doing in accumulating your knowledge and building up this occult knowledge information, this knowledge of self, unlocking this knowledge in yourself, is you are remembering what it is that you once knew anyway. That's all you're really doing. It's just you lighting up more light codes. So everything that you've been told and you've been given in religion, a lot of times stems from the simplest thought of a complex set of metaphysical knowledge that will fill in a lot of them holes. But because we don't know metaphysics, because we're not taught it on that level, because we're just given the dogma so that we can be sheep and be mindless and be blind and just follow without asking questions, we don't get to that particular level. And that's why most times we deal with people that's dogmatic, they closed-minded. They can't see how there's a connection in every religion. It takes a lot of digging for a person to get to that point. But once you get to that point, there is no going back. You can't get to high school and want to go back to elementary school. It don't work like that. You can't unsee what you've seen. So the more you accumulate, the more you build, the more of your light you're accumulating. So those simplified things in religion begins to make more sense to you. Oh, that's why they said this and this here, because it's just an oversimplified version of this complex spiritual quantum physics higher science. But again, everybody doesn't or isn't fit to obtain that master level of that much understanding, because we're all in different places on our journey. So it's always important that we keep that in mind. And you can never force anybody to see what it is that you see. All you can do is really share your perspective and leave that seed in whatever it is that you spoke about with that person, and just let that seed take root, whether it be in this life or the next. But there's no more than that you can do, because everybody is simply a reminder of who you once were anyway on your journey. So it's not for you to get upset with them, because they are simply a mirror of an aspect of yourself, even if it's not in the current present time that you're in. So, when you're dealing with what you create, be responsible for what you create, because we are creating with our thought forms. We are affecting people with the way that we think. We are affecting other people all the time. Other people are affecting us. If you're not aware of it, then you can just be preyed upon, which is what often happens out here. So most people say, why even worry about the occult? Why even deal with getting that type of knowledge? Why is that important? What's it going to matter? So that you can understand what's going on, so that you can know how everything is happening around you. You don't study vampirism just because, and that's to mean you want to just be a cliche vampire, you got to know the rules of what vampirism is, because it's a natural element of the astral realm. So if it's a natural element of the astral realm, then it's an aspect of every astral body. So again, it's not about things being good or bad. It's about understanding what it is. It's kind of like in Doctor Strange, when he first learned the Ancient One was also getting the powers from the dark side, because it's balance. It is what it is. The problem comes when there's imbalance. That's when the problem comes, is when there's an imbalance. So let's move along a little bit and let's get into this build. Let's see what we can, kind of learn and take in from this whole lesson, because, even though I have gathered my ideas and I built my knowledge and have my knowledge on these topics, when I sit down to build with you all in this setting, that energy and that spirit is still present. So even more is being revealed to me, even as I reveal it to others. So it's important to understand the dynamic of the student and the teacher, because even though people may see me as in a teacher aspect, I'm still learning because of that. You dig? So it's a mutual beneficial relationship, so to speak. Now, all right, now we talked about this, but let's reiterate the power of the mind, because all of this boils down to the power of the mind. And if you haven't looked at the hermetic principles and breakdown of that, I need you to look at that before you dive into most of this information, especially if you're on the Patreon. I need you to get that, because that's the foundation of most metaphysical and alchemical information, and the whole knowledge itself stems from that. And even in learning it, there's layers to it. The deeper you get into more knowledge, the more those principles will unfold to you and will teach you even deeper as you continue to walk along your journey. So, all forms, or servitors as we know them, right? How can they be used? Well, they can be used in terms of understanding that, know that your mind is powerful and can create whatever it is that you want. And it indeed does create your reality. You just truly, or may not truly, understand that power in which you have, and to how you are attributing to what is happening in your life, in your reality, and how to change that. So the more you build this knowledge, the more you will understand, and you can gain and become a master of self and master of your life, and become a magician and manipulate the world around you and bend it to your will. That's all being a magician really is. This is what we're looking at. These servitors, or most often people create servitors to protect themselves. You want to protect yourself and your loved ones. Psychic protection, spiritual protection, very important. One of the most important things that you have to study, because the more you become aware, the more you realize how vulnerable and susceptible we are as energetic beings, as spiritual beings, and how this is already being, how much we're already being manipulated and utilized and used, right? Servitors can be used to heal others, to help you get material things that you may desire, to even help you find love, or even just to provide a simple companionship, even a companionship. Now, taking it deeper in what is a thought form, right? In terms of a servitor. The knowledge and creation of thought forms is an ancient practice, and there are examples of it in just about every single culture in the world. They may have different names for it. They have different means of viewing it. So the Tibetans specifically have developed very advanced techniques for creating thought forms and using them for a number of purposes, including deity worship, as a type of mental exercise, and in order to attain certain desired results. Results is always typically a thing. If you want to learn more about Tibetan ways and the things that they've accomplished with it, there's a book called Magic and Mystery in Tibet, and it talks about a lot of those practitioners and their practices and their capabilities. Okay, now I spoke on this earlier, and one of the things that you have to understand when you're dealing with magic, specifically alchemy, you have to know and understand the power of your belief. Belief plays a complex and multifaceted role in magic because, alchemy is just an ancient philosophical tradition or art, right? That is about transforming something of a base substance into a more refined or valuable one, whether that be, as it's been stated, the basic means of alchemy, turning lead into gold, or as those who are more spiritually inclined would say, achieving spiritual enlightenment is the true understanding or purpose of alchemy. So the importance of belief is because you have to understand the power of your mind, the role your mind plays in it. And I know that one of the main things we get into when we get to talking about being in the conscious community or being conscious or being aware, and it's like, you want to get away from being up into the belief and you want to become a knower. And that's all well and true when you're talking about facts, right? And that's what you have to do when you get out of the religion, right? But if you truly want to understand where all that comes from, where it stems from, what it is, you get into the metaphysical components of it, right? When you do all of that, and you understand your mind is the center point, or is the point of focus, or the point of origin. It's all stemming from your mind. So your belief, the things that you believe in, whatever you is willing to believe in, is the things that you can make possible in your reality. So there's a psychological element to belief. Belief has a very profound impact on an alchemist, on a magician, on a magical practitioner, because that conviction, right? Or, of the spiritual enlightenment, it is something that is within. Things of being within, you know it because you feel it, right? But it is a belief to the outside world because it hasn't been made physical yet. It hasn't been made physical. It is in your mind's eye. You know it to be possible, right? But you have to believe in it to make it be, because you are the creator of your reality. You're the creator of your reality. So that belief has a psychological component, has a psychological element. It can enhance your focus. It can enhance your dedication. You can do those types of things.